Welcome to Founders Friday. This is a tell-all for everyone that is in a revenue-producing role. We invite experts who understand how to drive revenue for their business, and we want them to come and share their experiences with us over here. Our goal is to educate and entertain, so remember to share your secret sauce, keep your responses punchy, and let's have some fun. So my guest today is Amahl Williams, partner at Reveal Group based out of Boston, Massachusetts. Amahl brings over 20 years of experience in sales and marketing. He specializes in design thinking, go-to-market strategy, data analytics, and digital transformation. The Reveal Group delivers innovative technology to deploy and scale intelligent process automation programs for operational management. I met Amahl through RevGenius, which is one of the communities we like to hang out. Amahl, thank you for joining Founders Friday today. So go ahead.
I was going to say, thrilled to be here. This is great. I'm in a great mood today, so I'm looking forward to today's discussion.
This will be fun. Well, so before we get started, walk us through your journey to becoming a partner at Reveal Group. What was your career path that took you there?
You know, it's funny. Let me try to do it succinctly because I'm still in the honeymoon phase. So I love it. I mean, honestly, when you humbly and respectfully, when you make it to this level of business, it is great to see an outpouring of support from your industry peers and folks around you professionally and personally. That was really touching. I will say that. That was really, really touching for me. I made a career change 4 years ago. It'll tie into some of our later discourse as well. But 4 years ago, I was doing traditional old school data warehousing, campaigning, reporting and analytics for Fortune 500 companies. And I saw a demonstration of a robot execute a report utility. So report utility, not with end user computing, but just a report utility. So here's an application, I can extract data from it. And then I heard about the volume metrics, how many reports the robot could do in a certain amount of time. So in 30 minutes, I saw a robot do 1,000 reports being extracted. I saw the horsepower. I understood how long it would take the humans to do it. I saw how long it took the robots to do it. And then I said to myself, Amahl, you probably should get a new job. And so it was funny. Fast forward to when Steve and Bobby Esch at Wonderbots gave me a chance to become a RPA professional. One of our best-selling applications was a reporting utility that not only externalized the data sets, but modified it for delivery for users specifically. So my favorite trial by fire was seeing it being done by robots. My hardest part of the process, there was twofold. And this is kind of as you mature through it. You're modeling for people's jobs. That's one. For two, you have a very intimate understanding of the processes and the tasks that companies have to complete, not only to sustain their operations, but to improve their employee experience and their client experience. So you start to look at industry differently. And the biggest change, I think, is from when I started to where I am today, is that when I first joined the industry, you were like, hopefully I don't get exposed to a process that's not in my wheelhouse or my bailiwick, right? And now I have a level of comfort that if you understand the capabilities of the applications, if you understand the capabilities of the digital workers, and you understand the work that is being done by the humans, you can have a very secure sense of comfort around discovery, automation, implementation, and what have you. Until you bridge that gap, I'll tell you, and again, it's funny. It's like when somebody tries to learn how to play lacrosse. The lacrosse guys can't tell you how to cradle the ball in the stick. They just kind of move their hands and it's like this. And that's what transformation is like. Until you get it, you don't get it. But then once you get it, you understand it completely differently. So specifically, Reveal Group conducted a search across the ecosystem for folks that might be able to lead within specific markets. And I got recommended by people who I didn't understand how much they were being advocates of mine, but people that I respect and I work with, they recommended me. I went through the process. It's been great here. The co-founders hire my teammates that I want to have come on board, and we're growing. So
awesome.
Great time.
Yeah. So look, I think robotic process automation, it's having its moment as we speak, and it'd be great. I mean, obviously that's what at the Reveal Group, that's what you specialize in. Share a little bit with this audience on how RPA helps drive revenue and revenue generating processes for companies, and maybe spend a minute on or half a minute on what is RPA. I'm not sure everybody would have that context, so that'd be a great place to start.
No, that's great, because when I say robotics, people ask me questions about iRobot. So let's get a foundation. let's get a rudimentary foundation in what robotics is. So as simple as I can say it, robotics at its core is data processing, right? So it's software that interacts with other software, similarly to how humans would interact with said software, but it doesn't have to be slavish to the user interface or the desktop or the keyboard,
That's the
right?
simplest explanation I've heard. That's beautiful.
It's my new favorite one, so I try to use it.
Yeah.
Intelligent process automation, which is one level above that, is the collaboration of a cognitive technology, so the eyes, the robot reading something or extracting data, and then incorporating that into a human process. So if I'm going to do month-end close, I have my core system that does a little bit of the close for me. I have my robots that do some of the remainder of the close within the context of the business rules. And then any exception that falls out of said context, it's brought to me as a human user to remedy. So in a recon state, I'm a CPA. In a payroll time card state, I'm a payroll analyst, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you work with a number of clients, and I know that you're passionate about the sales and marketing processes and functions as well. What are some of the common challenges that you see with clients when you work in the sales marketing functions? Like, what are some of the process issues that you typically run across there?
So it's, the semantics, right? How we should be working together. But I'll tell you, this is my favorite stage for startup, because your first 10 million generally, in my experience, right, for my last 10, 15 years, that's going to be founder sourced, right? So the relationships that you brought with you, your trusted advisors who said, hey, you're not crazy, that might actually work. Let's just make sure that the commercial model is feasible. And if it's feasible, then is it scalable? Can I sell my vision? Can I get folks to buy into near-term and then also long-term goals? And so when you look at sales and marketing, the nice part about it is that when I did it in 2008, people thought that marketing automation was just something that somebody said to get a check.
Yeah.
Now what we have, and this is refreshing, we're past that stage from an understanding. So we have platforms, we have the new roles that have formed, we have the tasks and their responsibilities, and we have the measurements. Now, the real challenge is that when you are founder sourced, when you are relationship selling company, you haven't had to do demand generation. You haven't had to do a lot of direct marketing outside of maybe webinar, trade show, or other. So the first thing you have to do when you understand it, and this is my favorite part because this is my marketing degree, right? It reminds me of my favorite professor, Professor Downs. He's retired now, but we have to understand which marketing we're actually talking about, right? So that's one. We have to have a common understanding of what the challenges of the CMO is, and then how that interoperates with sales. So for example, when I was trained, CMO has 4 jobs. Again, this is 2002 me, graduating from Nichols College. You have awareness, right? That's where I'm the weakest. I'm not a brand guy, right? We have fill the funnel, which is a byproduct of direct marketing and other, right? We have sales enablement, make it easier for the salespeople to generate more revenue more quickly, right, et cetera. The last part is going to be customer service. And when I say customer service, that is PR across all channels, Reddit, Twitter, and what have you. When we talk about marketing here for this stage of company, we're really talking about direct marketing activity that is attributable to the sales funnel, and then also the content, the dynamic, the multimedia, the multi-channel content that enables for additional revenue to be attributed to the marketing process, if that makes sense.
Got it. Now, this is very helpful, and particularly the 4 functions where the CMO and the sales organization kind of interact. I think that's very helpful. Now, I know you've been part of setting up the RevOps function at the Reveal Group, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about whether, from your own experience at the Reveal Group or working with other clients that are setting up a RevOps function. What are some of the common challenges that RevOps teams face in terms of driving revenue for their businesses? What comes up from their perspective as opposed to the sales and marketing perspective?
No, great question, right? So you need somebody who is a leader. You need somebody who is not afraid to grow in public.
Yeah.
You need somebody that is coachable, right? And you need somebody who has the thickest skin possible. Yeah. Because what we're really talking about, fundamentally different from marketing and sales, because it's more about who should be doing what, right? Who should be doing more of what. RevOps is coming in and saying, we are going to do something that you think you've been doing previously differently. And so it's change management across all tiers of the business. So for me personally, the most important hire was RevOps. And the most important part of the RevOps hire was having somebody who fit the description that I just told to you, but also, right, and this, it's funny, this ties into RPA. You have to have the vision and you have to have the leader who has the long haul mindset to walk that mile. and those smiles. And so the first thing that you have to do is, it was one of my quickest sales, Asim. I said, we can't do this if we don't have this function within the business. And let me give you 3 use cases of why it's valuable. And I gave out those use cases. And I said, hey, even better, guess what? Here's a job description and here's a person who fits the profile. Can we have that discourse, right? Yeah. That's when, and you know this, right? You've built business. If you have a business problem, right, you can complain about it or you can write a job description. And so that's kind of how I go about it. So one, they have to be in the right part of the business. They have to have the right DNA. You have to have the vision be sold not only by yourself, but the executive leadership team to the rest of the organization. We are changing, non-negotiable. Here is our leader. Please get in line. We are going to be learning as we go in public, right? This is not the thing that's going to be surrounded by surround sound to diminish it. We are going to support this, and we're going to do this until we get good at it in a single market and then eventually on a global scale. That's where we are here at Reveal. I love that part of it. Some of the other things that you have to get right is you have to clone the resource. You can't just have your dynamic leader. We have 2 channels that we can feed into here for talent. Let me try to say this as empathetically as possible. Not everybody is built for the RPA function at the company. Not everybody can be developer, designer, architect, or what have you. So we have folks with excellent academic pedigree, right? Business analyst skill sets, some visualization skill sets, some of their RPA skill sets that they fundamentally inherit the business. We can now draw some of those people into the RevOps practice. Now they have to go through training. I have to do the visioning, right? I have to let my practice lead talk about where we're lean, but also I have to create a practice where people can actually still take vacation. So we need to have more fun. Go ahead.
This is super helpful. And so I think, obviously, like, what are the characteristics of the leadership to set up a RevOps function? That certainly helps. What role do you see data playing in this process? And you mentioned this earlier in the RPA context, but I'm curious, like, what role do you see data playing in this context?
Right. So I'm not going to use the data as the fuel, data as the oil, although I've already said all that stuff. I think I told you this last time I met you, but I founded the Center for Intelligent Process Automation at Nichols College. Its 2 charters are digital literacy and data literacy. Your RevOps leader has to not only understand your business model at a statement of works level, right? Or a price sheet level, they have to be data literate. And if you work here by proxy, you will become digitally literate, right? Because that is what we're actually providing. So data literacy, if it's not present, it's a non-starter for me. And when I think about data literacy, it's not just the modeling. It's not just having access to the data sets. It's actually understanding which analytics are most applicable. So what are we measuring? We talked about this last time, right? What are we measuring, right? So we have to get our baseline. That's when everybody gets uncomfortable at first and feels like they're being attacked. And then after we get our baseline, we have to measure best practice or best behavior because we'd like to repeat it across a broader audience. And without data, right, you're not having an objective discussion.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, I know you worked with companies of all sizes and scale, and share a little bit of your perspective on what it looks like to scale up a business and what are some of the challenges when you go from an early stage to a Fortune 500 company. There's lots of stages in between. What do those early stages and the scale up look like?
When you have the right client, it's a great time, right? And I can, you know this, you can see them coming. It's their level of investment and engagement in the due diligence process. Bad customer, I don't know anything, tell me everything. Right? That guy's not getting budget. Informed customer, here's what I believe some of the challenges are that we have to face. I also don't know what I don't know, right? Amahl, I need some of your guidance, but we need to do that in the context of key success factors in the first 90 days and then beyond, because those 2 budgets are different. Like that person, I know something good is going to happen. Now, they exist at both sides of the business, but you can only have 2 initiatives when you get started. There's only 2, right? And only one can be a priority. So either it is monetize and maximize value as quickly as possible, right? So that's a self-sustaining practice, or become the best world-class center of excellence in the entire world, blah, 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 blah. That's called self-sufficiency, right? So self-sufficient companies, Bank of New York Mellon, TD Bank North, et cetera, they're all public. All the press releases are out there, right? Self-sustaining organizations, almost everybody else. Generally, when you look at it. So the customer, company, the advisory, they have to pick a path, and then I need to de-risk that path based upon who they are and who they want to be over time.
Perfect. Now, Amahl, you did share with me that you volunteer your time as a trustee at Nichols College. So tell us, our audience, a little bit about the organization, what inspired you to volunteer your time there.
You know, it's funny. One of my mentors who passed away now, Dick Scheffler, was like, Amahl, he's like, nice car. Why don't you give back? And I was like, what does that mean? Literally, I wish I had a better version of the story to tell. But one of my trusted advisors and somebody who I was mentoring said the same thing. And I'll tell you, at the time, I had no idea that you actually gave back to the college that you went to, right? I didn't have bad taste in my mouth or anything. It's just, didn't know about it. Didn't know that it was a thing. So I was hiring students from Nichols. I was giving back. I was just doing things. And so what happens over time is that as you just do the things, Nichols calls it time, talent, and treasures, right? So give my time specifically. I help source and evolve and matriculate talent. And then obviously treasure is gifting in the multiple ways that you can give. So like I have Nichols in my will, and there'll be a forever gift under my son's name that gives scholarship to Black and brown men and women pursuing degrees at Nichols, right? That's one of the things that I do.
Wonderful.
So your first designation, you become what's called the board of advisor. And in the board of advisory, you're doing time, talent, and treasure, right? To a certain level of commitment, and it has a governing body and et cetera. The trustee one is a selection process, and they actually are looking at you over a 2 or more year period, and you get nominated. I actually went to my first board meeting and I saw another trustee get nominated, and I now understand the process. I can't share it actually. But that's how it works. And once you sit, you still do time, talent, and treasure, but now you sit on specific committees and subcommittees that are in charge of the school's future vision. And then here's the other fun part. If all the other trustees disappear and the president disappears, you sit as president somehow. So like that'll never happen, but that was a big charter, part of the charter for me, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Got it. Well, thank you, Amahl, so much for your time today. Definitely an inspiring story. Always a pleasure to talk to you. For our audience, you can reach Amahl on LinkedIn, and you can also find him on RevGenius. And of course, as part of the Reveal group, you can find him on his contact information on their website. And as always, we love to hear your thoughts here at Immersa on how data can help you drive revenue for your business. It's an active conversation for us, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.